Welcome for another episode, Live from the Heart podcast, to live and contribute a little bit more every day from the heart. Today, I'm delighted to welcome a very special guest. Her name is Layssa Valentina. She's a gem. Layssa, I had the pleasure to meet you last year. I had a long time dream to train in this beautiful practice of Brazilian Zouk. And I've watched so many videos online and I was finally ready to learn. And you've been an amazing teacher, but not only a teacher, also a friend and someone that I found has such an amazing heart and is a queen, a true queen.
Yeah.
And meeting you is one of the highlights of my year 2023 and getting closer to you 2024 as you're moving in the neighborhood, not so far from here. And I'm super happy about that. And thank you for accepting to do this podcast episode today together. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And what a beautiful introduction. I feel just as grateful as with everything you said, like meeting you this year and last year, and has been so inspiring. You're such an inspiring woman to me. And yeah, it's a blessing to be sharing my practice and my passion with you and with everybody that's willing to join this movement of Brazilian Zouk in their lives.
Oh my God, it's going to be a tsunami. I see more and more people getting interested in it, but you've been in there for half your life or something like that. Can you please let us know about your journey? Like, who are you? Why do you do what you do? Like, take us there.
All right. Well, my name is Layssa Valentina, and I have been dancing for around 20 years. Brazilian Zouk, probably for more than 15. So, yes, pretty much half of my life. And I'm from Rio de Janeiro. That's where I started. Um, since I'm a kid, I always was in love with artistry. So, anything with arts. And I knew I would be some sort of artist. I just didn't know what. Um, my family has not been really connected through all my life. They still like quite separate individuals. So I always find arts and especially dancing as a way for me to find connection with human beings, with myself, and also to release all the negative feelings that I was having, as a child, you don't know. And even before I know, I was already doing some sort of healing with myself with just really dancing. So, yeah, I think like now seeing back from my journey, I really understand why dance has been such an important piece in my life because was created a place that I could dream, that I could express myself, that I could be in connection, I guess, with both worlds, not just being here and interact with humans, but also some sort of spiritual practice that you allow yourself to embody the divine. And yeah, it's been that for me for all my life. But probably the last 5 years in more a little bit more intense since COVID happened, and I dived a little bit deeper into my yoga practice, and I started to infuse more mindfulness practices and yeah, more these teachings into the dance. And then I was able to create beautiful projects that I have been doing right now. So it's really exciting, and I feel really grateful because I got to meet people like you, and you are so inspiring to me. So yeah, it's an amazing opportunity to be here sharing that with you and everyone.
Well, thank you for making it happen because when I've discovered your work and when I've discovered your teacher training last year, my only wish, my desire was to full time and learn Brazilian Zouk quicker because I had missed it because of COVID and everything. I couldn't learn as fast as I would have liked. And when I saw your training, I thought this is awesome because this is very holistic.
Yes.
It's mind, body, soul work. It's so deep. It's not only fun and beautiful, as you can see when you look at it, it's also embodiment, and it's really dropping inside of you to be able to connect with someone else from the
Mm,
right place, and so that we can meet and we can co-create beautiful moments and be fully present. And this is something that dance brings. It gets you out of your head and into
yes.
full presence. So this is so close to, this is actually spiritual practice, but not so many people talk about it in that way. Can you go there?
Well, yeah. Well, if you really think about like dance is actually older than yoga. You know, it's you see the animals and the plants. They are always in ritual. You know, they're always in body. So I feel like for me, dance when we are embodying, we are in our bodies. It's like in the old traditions. It's like you are calling the divine into your body, so that's why it's so powerful, because you are really connecting with something beyond yourself, but you're still in your body. That's why for me it's like such an amazing practice, because you're not just I love meditating, I love doing yoga, but it's you are in total interaction with another human being, but also with your own body. You're not trying to go out of your body, you are actually becoming God. A little bit even more. So yeah, spiritual practice for me is that you are in your body and you are aware of yourself and aware of your surroundings and the world you live in. And this is pure awareness. And I think dance can bring that to our lives. And I that's why I practice, that's why I share, and I'm very passionate about that. So yes.
Yeah. What I witness being into that world now for almost a year is that people get addicted to it
Oh
and
yeah.
they want to dance and dance and dance again. And I can see that people, not only professionals, but also people who are just practicing for themselves, get very excited about it. And then they start traveling a lot. They start practicing a lot while traveling, going from one place to another. And it's exhausting. How was
Yes.
that life for you? Because you've been doing that for so many years, before COVID, actually, like so many years. But no, you settled in Australia even before. You had a sense that maybe you had to find a home before it happened.
Oh
So
yeah.
how was it traveling life, and how did you keep a sense of presence and groundedness inside of you, although you were always going to festivals and teaching all over the world?
It's challenging, like I started this journey when was 2007 and traveling 2009, and I did this for almost 15 years nonstop. And I did went to Australia and lived in Australia for 10 years, where I had a school and I built uh, new teachers to support the school. But it is challenging to be moving place to place. And I feel like when we do all this traveling, I think it's an amazing thing, because you see that there is family everywhere you go. If you say you are a Zucker, anywhere in the world, they will embrace you as your family. So it's a beautiful thing. You travel in the world and you are on search of more connection and dancing and learning and evolving yourself. But I also think like we should the reason of the teachers training for me, it's a beautiful place for us to find that in ourselves. For us to find the practice is a practice of devotion, where you understand that you also need to do the work. You don't want to keep finding that feeling of it's almost like a sensation of transcendental. You're like, oh my god, you are in motion, but you are in full presence and awareness. And people, when the students or the Zookers, I would say, they find that sensation, they are on search of that. And I know, because this is the best sensation in the world. You are in full awareness. So if you don't practice meditation on yoga or like more spiritual practice, this is going to be your spiritual practice. And yeah, I think like the best is to find balance between like understanding what is the practice about, how you can find balance in your footwork, how you can find connection through the touch, how you can connect with your breath and with the music and with another human being. Doing this in a consistent practice where you can understand more about yourself. And there is a lot in there as well that you understand about when you are dancing, the person in front of you becomes your mirror because some triggers comes up. So you can use this practice as well for self-development, and I think this is, for me, that's the most curious part, because you don't have to travel everywhere to find that. You can do your own practice with yourself. You can find a friend that you love and practice that and see what comes up. And more you free yourself from your triggers, more easily it is for you to find this transcendental sensation that we are all on search. So I support both ways. I support traveling the world, seeing the world, meeting new people, learning from different teachers. It's great because you open like your, like it's like a pizza, like sometimes it's like a pizza and you have all these slices, so you start to understand different flavors of Brazilian zouk. But I also find it's important for us to find some grounding, and the teacher's training for me, it's this grounding. You find grounding in your practice, you understand more about all these different slices of the pizza, and then you might be able to understand a little bit more of when you go to these travels and like traveling to congresses and festivals or doing privates with different teachers. You know what is the slice that you want to work, right? Instead of just keeping maybe in a place of dark that you're like, oh, I wanted this, but you don't really know what you want. So sometimes this can be, I think, exhausting as well. And yeah, that's kind of like what I support my clients and my students into, finding this sort of freedom. We're all wanting freedom in this life, right? And
Yeah.
dance can bring a lot of that, and self practice also supports that. You like, yeah, I can practice my spins on the spot, and this is going to make me feel empowered because I know how I can create the energy to do all of that. So that's kind of like where I see dance, and also traveling. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
Earlier,
welcome.
you talked about being an artist of life, because you were always interested in art. And I see you as an artist, really. I see you as a creator. And this is something interesting for me because I felt I was a creator more like inside, like creating books, creating businesses, more from the thoughts. And then getting into my body again more last year, thanks to your work and learning from you, really got me understand that I'm an artist in all my being. So thank you for that. And it felt really good. And why do you think some of us go there like, okay, I'm an artist and I allow myself to be an artist, and why some people don't allow themselves to be an artist, kind of the kind of contracted and hold back from being creators? Do you ever you meet a lot of people? Why do you think some of us are artists and creators and some of us not so much?
I think from experience, I think I can really reply this question and make it like as general because people are so unique. But I always hear this sentence is like, oh, I have two left feet, you know. And I'm like, well, if everybody could really dance perfectly, I wouldn't have a job, right? But I also think, like, to reply your question, it's like, I think sometimes culture influences a lot. In Brazil, I'm from Brazil, and in Brazil, it's not everybody that is like an artist on a way. Like, nobody's done, like is born done, but the culture is so intense into, you always see people dancing, you always see people painting and singing. This is like you sing in the shower. So this is things that supports you to believe you are, but truly we are artists of life. We are all the time creating something. Like, it doesn't have to be with something that's like I think like people think that being an artist is just doing something beautiful. I would say a painter or a dancer or a actor. No, it's you all the time creating. So I think it's more like a mindset. Um, and I believe I do believe the culture supports that, because living in Australia, a lot of people are not in connection with their bodies or with their creative side. But I would just say it's just a mindset, a belief system, and in my perspective, we are all dancers. We are all
Mm.
born dancers because we are all the time having to adapt to circumstances of life. And this is dance. Dance is this is going with the flow of uncertainty and adapting to that, accepting and adapting, right? So we are already dancing, but maybe in different perspectives. So if we put this in our minds, for sure we will already start to embrace this artistry of just being human beings, right?
Wow, this is so beautiful. And it's a good reminder that this is something we can train, because
Oh
actually
yes.
in dance we train a lot, we practice a lot. And it's not because something is not easy at the beginning that it is not right. And this
Oh
is
yes.
something that you've taught me also, because I remember, with the head movements, I had a lot of pain. And I want to celebrate with you that at the festival in Copenhagen, I didn't have pain. So it's not yet, it's not yet completely smooth, but at least I'm not suffering anymore. And I would like to share with everyone that it's not because something is uncomfortable that is not right. It's just because it's new. And it's something that we
Yes.
can practice so that we can actually discover that there is another way to be, and to open up to discovering that. And this is something that dance brings too, because with the practice, then you can understand that there is many ways that actually feel good if you allow to train and discover them. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, I feel like dance it's bringing back the trust in for us to be in our bodies. You know, it's very empowering when you understand how your body moves and you are okay. You're like, I trust my body. But when we go into a dance class, like it's everything is so new and is uncertain. So the best thing we can do is just like accept that it might not be the way you maybe not create any expectations. I think that's probably the best way to put it. And just trust that you are doing everything, you're doing your best to achieve the goal that you want, if it is to feel more connected, to feel more powerful, or to just allow yourself to be seen and be touched. Like Brazilian zouk, it's such a beautiful practice to practice vulnerability, because you go in a close embrace, and not everybody is ready for that. But like we're going in slowly into that embrace. It's a beautiful way to release fear, to trust ourselves, to trust the other, and build more connection. So definitely I think like dancing, and I would say Brazilian zouk itself, it's a beautiful place for to work in a lot of things, like especially fear and trust and empowerment. It really brings a lot into it.
Yeah. And it's also very interesting to see how it's a beautiful metaphor of relationships, because you've taught me that we have to keep our ground. Like first we dance with ourselves and the floor. It's like we are grounded ourselves, and then we connect with the other person. And this is basically the same in a relationship, because if we're not grounded and connected to ourselves, then we cannot co-create beautiful relationships, whether it's love relationships or friendships or either family relationships. It gets to be imbalanced if we lose our ground. So this is like basic one-on-one dance classes. Dance with the floor and dance with yourself.
Dance with yourself, exactly. I have actually one workshop that I created once that called the non-negotiables. So it's all the little things that will support you for you to feel more confident about yourself and about your dance. And then when eventually you come with your dance partner and then you practice, what can I do to make myself feel more secure, or feel more stable, or feel more relaxed, in that embrace. And yes, and like just paying attention to how you feel the floor and feel the touch, all of that can really support this empowerment when you're dancing. And for sure for relationships is the same, because it's like the person in front of you is like a mirror, right? So yeah, we keep like creating balance between with yourself but with the other person in front of you.
Yeah. And this is so interesting how it makes us work also on our feminine and masculine sides, like both for followers, which are usually women, and for leaders, which are usually men. But obviously, roles can be exchanged. But
Yeah.
because it requires some discipline and knowing the steps. And in that sense, it's kind of masculine. You have to learn and practice, but then you
Yes.
have to surrender and go with the flow. And it's not for nothing that your art is called Zouk Soul Flow. And it's really, that's the goal. That's the goal. But in order to achieve that, you also have to invite this discipline and this kind of masculinity inside. So this is a very balanced practice, I feel.
Yeah, it's really beautiful because when you work just yourself, let's say if you are going to do your own practice, yes, there is the technique and the steps that you learn to create some structure. And the structure gives us confidence. So you're already working in, self practice, devotion, discipline, and coordination, things that you can do by yourself. But then eventually, when you dance with someone else, you start to see that this energy that you guys are creating together, you are all the time exchanging, and not necessarily when you feel a movement it means it's going to be like that. So you really learn to release expectations and go with the flow, which is really more like a more feminine energy. But also if you really think about relationships, is allowing, like if it is a woman dancing as a follower and a man dancing as a leader, it's kind of like a beautiful, it's like a conversation, right? That the leader is speaking first and then the follower is listening, which is a beautiful feminine energy. And then eventually when you feel more confident, you understand more about your body, you can start to suggest more. So this the speaking and the listening, they keep like a it's like a seesaw. It's just, they just keep exchanging. So yes, is an amazing practice, because yes, you can really balance. If you are independent woman, I would say like myself, or even you, like we're all the time creating and we are on the go. It's a coming to Brazilian Zouk, you feel like, oh wow, I really like, I am trying to be in control. So it's going to be an amazing practice for you to just surrender and don't have to think about what is next. It's perfect, right? Or if you are in a relationship with a woman that she is more in this more masculine energy, the leader, the man practicing doing this practice, they're going to start to see that there is beautiful tools that you can practice more being your masculine. So it's really cool. It's really cool to see that there is so much that we can learn and practice and use that as a tool, not just as something fun. It's something fun, but also something very useful for life.
Oh, so much. I think I came for, I thought it was for the fun and for the pleasure, but I think there are so much more, so many layers. And just as you said, as a woman, self-employed, working, passionate about work and driven, this is very nice to be led. And this is a great reminder that, oh, if you just let yourself be guided by a beautiful leader, and we can call it, I mean, if we make a metaphor with life, you can be guided by the universe, by God, however you want to call it. It, yeah, you can co-create magic together, and you don't have to always be in charge.
It's the best feeling, and I think that's why a lot of women, they especially fall in love with Brazilian zouk, not just because of everything that you just mentioned, which it is, yes, you don't have to worry about the next step, you just in constant flow. Yes, you are in this shared experience, which is really powerful.
Yeah. So we go to do partner dance, and we choose those kind of dances because we don't want to dance alone. We want to connect and we want to meet people. And
Yes.
this is something I really appreciate about the Brazilian Zouk community, is that 99.9% of the time, it feels very safe and happy, and the people are very open-hearted and respectful, and everybody sets the boundaries. And once in a while, there is somebody a bit weird that you need to set a more rigid boundary and say, no, sorry, I will not do that with you. And that's normal because this is life and this is humanity. But really,
Absolutely.
I've discovered an amazing community, and this is wonderful. And all over the world, like wherever you go, you can find groups and you can find events. And I met a woman, I need to share that with you. I met a woman from Germany. She was at the festival in Copenhagen, and she lives in a very small town with 2,000 people. And she said there
Wow.
is a couple teaching Brazilian Zouk there, but they are limited in their skills. So they said, now we taught everything we know. So now everybody from the group has to go abroad and learn new skills and bring them to everyone. And I love that spirit. It's such a beautiful spirit. Let's do it together.
I love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. Yes, for sure. You can find family everywhere. But now that you share that with me, there is a lot of people that come from my teacher's training exactly because of that, because they live in a remote place where there is not much information. And then they come for a month of training with me and this beautiful group, and they learn to lead and to follow. They learn how to teach, and they come back with a lot of tools to create thousands of classes. So this is amazing that you shared that with me, because this is one of the reasons that I also do what I do, is to support this Brazilian Zouk to be spread in many, many, many places in the world, and people know that they have the tools necessary to build a great community.
Yeah, I love that. What would you think would be different? Let's say, okay, close your eyes. Imagine that everybody tomorrow is actually dancing Brazilian Zouk in the world. What do
Wow.
you think will change in people's mindset, in people's embodiment of their values? And, what would change in the world if everybody would suddenly be an artist in that way and connecting in that way with others?
I think the world would be so different. Like people would have, we find more connection easily, because Brazilian Zouk really gives you this space of you connecting with another human being. But if a lot of people are practicing using the full practice, I would say, right? Not just the dance for movement, but dancing for connection with self, connection with another, connection with the humanity. I think we would be more kind to each other, because we know that there is work to do into elevating yourself, into doing the practice. I think we would be more willing to let people in. Sometimes I feel like, especially with phones and social media, we stop like having conversations. And I feel like when you start to go in such a deep connection with someone that you don't know, which is a stranger, this person is not a stranger anymore. So there is more space for connection and deep conversations, and I feel like we all are needing a little bit more of that. And also, I guess, for like a lot of cultures, there is a lot of people that don't know what is to hug every day. Like it's really human connection. We were made for that. And imagine if you just getting a hug from someone you don't know every day, how amazing you would feel. You never feel alone. And I guess from my story that I shared, not having a very strong family connection, dance is this place of I find my family. So you are able to consider someone that you barely know part of your family, because this practice unifies everybody as human beings. Is like, for me, it would it would be an amazing world to have everybody dancing and connecting and hugging and willing to be more open. I think would be a very different world. And that's the world I want to create. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love that vision. And as as a lover of Zouk, I must say that when I go dancing, I feel that my nervous system is relaxing. There is something inside of me that is allowed to relax, to soften, to enjoy life more, and to, yeah, it brings safety to my nervous system to just be hugged and kind of cuddled, on the music. It feels a little bit like a cuddle with a nice music background. This is awesome. And I think everybody needs that.
It's like you are in the womb of your mom, and you're just
Yeah.
being nourished and you're being hugged and everything is warm, and that's probably why you feel your nervous system really calm, because you're being
Yeah.
held. You know that there is three things that I focus in my classes. And of course, more study, I'm learning more. I'm doing a mastermind with a very amazing teacher, and I'm learning a lot about the mind. So there is three things that I feel like we are all, as human beings, we really on search, which is to be seen, to be held, and to be heard. And Brazilian Zouk brings that into your life.
It really does. It really
Yes.
does. And everything is learnable. So you're offering workshops here in Bali, as well as retreats, as well as a teacher training. So you're a pretty busy woman, and
Yes.
it's it's awesome. And most of it now is in Bali, although there are still a little bit of things in Australia. So where can we find the information about the next ones?
So yeah, so I have my website and Instagram. So my website is www.laissavalentina.com.au, and my Instagram is Layssa Valentina. My next event is I have a beautiful 5 days retreat, Brazilian Zouk. You don't need to know a lot of things. You just need to know the fundamentals. So if you want to join, you can do maybe a private lesson with me beforehand or any other teacher around the world. So the retreat is Eat, Pray, and Zouk from 3 to 8 of July 2024 in Ubud. And my next teacher's training is from the 5th to 31st of August, also in Ubud. Is the whole month, is a 200 hours teacher's training where you're going to learn to the full circle of Brazilian Zouk, to lead, to follow, to teach, to use as a practice of mindfulness. So this is pretty much the biggest events. And I also travel to other festivals around Australia and Brazil. I'm going to be in Brazil again this year. But if you want to follow me, there is a lot of information on my Instagram and my website. And yeah, and you can just send me a message if you are interested to join.
That's awesome. I can share that it has changed a lot for me, a lot of things, and it was great also to live this immersion, and not only to go like 1 hour in a week, but actually to choose to immerse yourself. I've choose the whole month, but I can imagine that
Mhm.
already for the people who choose to do a whole week, it's already life changing because you choose to just not you break the pattern of your life and you choose to just be in a different environment and also in a beautiful island surrounded by other dancers. And then it changes your mindset and changes how you see your body and what you think you're capable of doing. It's like, oh, suddenly something I didn't think I could do, I can do because I'm in a different environment. Layssa believes in me. The others believe in me. I believe in them, and we're going to do it together. And that changes what's possible. And I love that about retreats. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I feel like if you have never done Brazilian Zouk, and if you just want to like shorter experience, the retreat is beautiful because I only use the tools of Brazilian Zouk to show you there is so much for us to receive. You can receive a lot from the retreats, and if you want to just dive deeper, for sure the teacher's training is it's one with more details, and then you're going to learn a lot from it. I might be doing some other projects here also in Bali, but it's still on the go. So I'm still planning, but I will be sharing on my Instagram and my website if more people wanting to learn from me, and would be a beautiful blessing to have more Zookers.
Yes. I can see it becoming really big. I see that there are more and more people interested in it. Obviously, I have more focus on it, so I see more of it. But I can acknowledge that a lot of the people I know started to be interested in it, although before it was more salsa and more different things. So I feel like this is the Zouk era. Now is the time.
Yes, it is. It's this very floaty energy, which is really like who we are.
It is, but also we dance most of the time with like flat feet, grounded on the earth. It's and like we slide on the floor. It's a really grounded practice, not like high heels and like floating around. We're there.
Yeah, it's on the floor. Feel the
Yeah,
ground.
feel the ground. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add?
um, I guess like I will share something that for all these years of my life of teaching and dancing, it's like, just to encourage people to come into these beautiful practices. The hardest step, it's not the dance. The hardest step is when you open the door and come into the studio and make that decision, or just click the button to buy the ticket, because this is like you really go into a place of unknown. But once you do that, I even have goosebumps. Once you do that, you're gonna see your life will be changed forever. Like you don't want to go back to not being in connection with yourself and with the other, and with the rhythm of life, like the rhythm of the music. So I think this is the hardest step. Once you do this, you click into the button or you open the door of the studio, like you're done. That's the hardest step. The rest is easy. So just find the discourage of just doing this first step, and then the rest is fluid. It's beautiful.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sometimes I go dancing now and I see people on the side and they don't dance, and probably they don't know how to dance because they haven't taken the classes. And I think, oh, how sad was my life before when I didn't dare to do it.
Yes.
Like now I have this. It's like, it's like cherry on the cake. It's so nice to have that on top of everything in our lives. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's magic. It's truly
It is.
magical.
It's really magical. Well, thank you for everything. And I will share your links in the description of the episode. And I would gladly welcome you for other topics if you want to cover other things, because you're passionate about so many things. I would love to do other episodes this year with you whenever we can do that. Okay?
Absolutely. That's such a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'm so grateful to know you. You really are light
Me
into this
too.
world, and being able to share that with your community, it's a beautiful blessing. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So if you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have dancers around you or aspiring dancers, please share this episode around you and spread the love. And I will see you next week in another episode. Bye bye.